mines everywhere
It didn't
else.
work.
It didn't work. And so the simplification of saying, there's trade above the line and below the line. That line is national security. So now the debate is, where exactly does that line fall? And nobody knows yet. But it's clear that the president's views on that line are he's much more inclined to define national security in a more conservative way than maybe his predecessor. And I think that's very positive. But that's the debate that both countries need to have. And that is, where is that national security line? And then that makes it easy for business to not cross it, and it makes it easy for both countries to plan.
If not, weaponization and politicization of trade will be everywhere.
Yeah, right. And that is exactly the problem. And why do you have weaponization of trade? And why do you have all of that? It's a search for leverage, but it's also this lack of confidence, this lack of trust in the other side, that somehow something will be weaponized or they'll take advantage. And that's why I think everyone is very hopeful that this idea of constructive strategic stability can actually take hold in the thinking of both sides, so that the relationship is not defined by, I'm afraid of what China can do to me, and China's views are shaped by, well, I don't want the U.S. to do this to us. We want it to be, what can we do together, and how can we find ways to cooperate that bring benefits, and therefore we want stability to get benefits, not stability because we have fears.
Now, we are seeing a big year for China-U.S. relations. The two presidents already met, and we're likely to see more bilateral interaction later in the year, not to mention two multilateral platforms, such as APEC in Shenzhen and also G20 in Miami. So what can we expect this sequence of events? And in between, the changes that needs to be done according to the guidelines of the two presidents?
Every time the two presidents meet, good things happen. So by having consistent, regular interactions between the two presidents helps keep the positive momentum, helps the two countries enact the consensuses that the two sides reached. So I think that's really important. But the other thing that I think is really important is that we need both strong signals from the two governments, and they need to be clear enough, and the messaging needs to be clear enough from both governments that people from both sides can act on it, that U.S. businesses feel confident that they can continue to grow and invest in China, and that maybe through the Board of Investment that more and more Chinese companies will feel the confidence to invest in the United States. Because I can tell you, if you go into the communities in the United States that have a significant Chinese investment, those are not the companies, or those are not the counties that are afraid of China and that have China phobia. Those are the communities that recognize how important it is for the two countries to work together. And so I think, in non-sensitive areas, more Chinese investment in the United States helps, I think, resolve this fundamental problem of trust between the two countries. So that's what we hope to see happen in the coming months and year.
But in the process, still distrust, lack of confidence, and sometimes hard feelings as well.
Those are real issues. Those issues don't go away easily. And it's going to take time. And it's going to take more leader-level involvement. And it's going to take more working-level communication. It's going to take more people-to-people exchange. And it's going to take more business exchange. So there is no one solution. But working together over time, all of these things can help bring stability and much-needed progress to the relationship.
Sean, always, what a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I always enjoy chatting with you.
In 2023, Chinese President Xi Jinping pledged to invite 50,000 young Americans to China over 5 years. That goal has been met 2.5 years early. Young people from both countries are now getting to know each other better, one experience at a time. Among those working to deepen these ties is Stephen A. Schwarzman, the founding trustee of Schwarzman Scholars, a program drawing talent from all over 100 countries and regions, training the next generation of global leaders to understand China's place in the world. I caught up with him recently for more insights. What are some of the challenges and solutions, Steve, you are thinking about these days about Schwarzman Scholars?
I don't think about legacy. I tend to do different types of new things, and I do them because they're great things to do without any reference to me. I just finished a meeting with all of our faculty, and they asked me the question, the world's changing geopolitically. It's changing technologically. It's changing economically. How should we be approaching this in terms of education for the students? And I said to them that the geopolitical changes and instability have happened in various times in history. I think we have to provide a framework for that so people, when they're younger, learn that this is the way the world's going to be. And there are going to be certain adjustments that you have to make when you're living in that world. And particularly in the technology area, where there'll be dramatic changes. And we should talk about the capability of technology and what it's going to evolve into, so that our students can understand a world that doesn't exist yet, but we know what it should be doing at that point in the future, and what are the options for changing the course of things, what issues, including, AI safety. People have to be concerned about and engineer as a must-do in the future, and it'll basically not be education about the past, which is what a lot of education is. It'll be education about the future.
Tell me more about what you have learned about China through this process.
When I came to China the first time with my children in 1990, but there were almost no cars in China, and they were all on bicycles. 10 years later, in 2000, the average income per person in China was only $300 for a whole year. So I've watched the absolute economic revolution that the government of China has helped create for its people. It's astonishing. And now the average income, I think, is somewhere around $14,000. You can turn it into RMB for me, but it's massive. And, I've watched this happen. And China's not meant to stop at that level. So it will continue to invest. It'll continue to grow. It'll continue to make the lives of its people better. And of course, then it has all its relationships around the world, some of which are easy, some of which more complicated.
So while China's wealth has been increasing, do you see trying to search for its own identity, so to speak? What does that mean to you during your process of discovering China?
Well, China's place in the world historically has always been pretty clear. This is a 5,000-year-old country, and they've always been the dominant economic power in Asia. They're busy reclaiming that, and I think that will continue.
That's all the time we have for today. If you'd like to know more, search World Insight or check out our YouTube channel. Follow us on X and Facebook. I'm Jane Wei. Thank you for being with us. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
From London, this is The World Today.
Hello, I'm Jamie Owen. Welcome to the programme. Our top stories: Iran and the United States are reported to have reached a deal to extend their ceasefire. Will President Trump give his approval? Explosions rock Lebanon as Israel intensifies attacks ahead of the talks in Washington on Friday. The desperate rescue squeezing through narrow rock passages and floodwaters, searching for 7 people trapped in this cave. And arrivals and departures. The Taikonauts hand over the keys to Tiangong space station as the new crew prepares to conduct world-first experiments. A possible breakthrough in the conflict between the United States and Iran, with American news outlet Axios reporting both sides have agreed to extend their ceasefire and open nuclear talks so long as President Trump agrees. This follows overnight United States strikes on the Iranian port city of Bandar Abbas. Tehran responded by targeting an American airbase in Kuwait with missiles and drones, which were intercepted. Let's talk now to our correspondent Nick Harper in Washington. Nick, what more can you tell us about this deal being reported?
Yeah, Jamie, a few details being laid out by Axios, but I must say it's just Axios at this stage that is reporting this. There's no confirmation from the White House and no one else saying that they have the details of this potential deal. Axios saying that there is now an agreement for a 60-day memorandum of understanding. During that 60-day period, the ceasefire would be extended and the real negotiations would begin. But there are a number of starting points for those rounds of negotiations. We're hearing from Axios that already Iran has committed not to pursue a nuclear weapon. But importantly, in order to get to that round of negotiations, Axios is saying that Donald Trump still needs to sign off on this. He has reportedly been briefed on the matter, but he apparently needs a couple of days to think about it, according to that reporting coming from 2 US officials who are not named. A number of other things that would be included during that 60-day period. The Strait of Hormuz would be reopened and it would be unrestricted, so Iran would not be imposing any tolls on any of the boats. They would also need to remove the mines that are in the strait during a 30-day period. And on top of that, the United States naval blockade against Iranian ports would be lifted gradually during the course of that 60 days. And when we get to the point that that 60-day window begins, we would see negotiations begin in earnest on many of the thorny issues, including, in particular, what would happen to the enriched uranium that Iran wants and that Washington wants it to hand over.
I guess it's worth saying that if this is indeed a breakthrough, the ceasefire had come pretty close to collapsing.
Well, it certainly has, and during the course of this week we've seen several occasions in which the United States has carried out strikes. They say that those have been in self-defence, and there were more overnight Wednesday into Thursday. They say that Iran fired on a US base in Kuwait. They call that an egregious ceasefire violation. They also say that that ballistic missile was successfully intercepted by Kuwaiti forces. And the United States themselves had to step in to intercept 5 drone attacks that the US says were near the Strait of Hormuz. They also say that they were successfully intercepted.